So how are all these tariffs going to impact the housing market here in Phoenix Metro, or more specifically the East Valley? The truth is, or the reality of it is, nobody knows. Even the smartest economists and businessmen out there are like, really have no idea what's going to happen next. There's a lot of uncertainty. So if your neighbor Bob is telling you or making predictions, he's either A, the smartest person out there, or B, he's probably one of those people that gives you unsolicited medical advice as well. So why am I even making this video? Well, there are still some considerations or possible implications, particularly with home values and mortgage rates, which I'm going to break down further. And I also want to be sensitive to the fact that this can be a very triggering topic. And I want you to know I'm a real estate agent. I'm not an economist. Now, I know the market trends in the East Valley inside and out, but I'm not going to be able to make predictions on what's going to happen. I'm just going to lay out like the black and white facts or general objective information. I'm Courtney Strelzik. I'm a local real estate agent here in the East Valley, and I keep you guys up to date on market trends and try to make it as practical as possible and not bore you with a whole bunch of numbers. So if you're planning on making a move in the next upcoming year, or just interested in what's happening in your local market, maybe you're a homeowner here in Chandler or Gilbert, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and I'll keep you up to date. So the biggest question I got from clients over this past weekend since Friday was, are these tariffs, is it going to make home supplies more expensive and subsequently make it more expensive to build homes? And then will home prices go up? So where do our supplies actually come from? So the National Association of Home Builders actually pointed out it's about 10% of supplies for building a home actually are imported from out of the country. So lumber primarily comes from Canada, and then drywall materials, a lot of that actually comes from Mexico. So right now at the time of filming this, there are a lot of exemptions for the lumber coming from Canada. But either way, the thing you have to remember with home prices is it really comes down to supply and demand, not necessarily the cost of the materials. And when I say supply and demand, really how many home buyers are out there and what's the overall inventory, how many homes are on the market for sale. Now, the cost of building, if that goes up, in theory, that could impact inventory. Builders could be building less. We don't really know how this is going to play out yet. And something to keep in mind too, when you look at these national headlines, there is a lot of talk that we have an inventory shortage or shortage of homes. And I'm talking about, we're not rentals, we're talking about homes for sale. So here in Phoenix, we actually since January have seen quite an increase in homes for sale. In January across Phoenix Metro is about 18,000, and right now we're 23.5. So it went up 5,500 homes. So today, when we look at the balance of supply and demand, we've actually seen, because inventory, the number of homes went up so much, the demand went up a little bit too. We do have more home buyers out there, but the inventory surpassed that. So we're actually in a pretty neutral, or actually we're in a buyer's market technically, meaning buyers have more of the upper hand just because we have so many home options out there. So that's just something to consider when you see these national headlines. Phoenix looks a little bit different right now than the national average. Now, the reality of the situation is we aren't going to see any effects of these tariffs on home building costs for quite some time. So if we start seeing any changes in production from new construction, we probably aren't going to feel that impact for, probably a year. But I'll keep you guys posted if we see any changes. The other interesting note when we're looking at just patterns right now, or what's happening today, is because we have an increase of supply and it's outrunning demand, we've actually seen a lot of new construction. They're actually decreasing their base price of homes. Now, this is not across Phoenix Metro. It's more relevant to areas that are on the peripheral of the city where it's a weaker market. Think like Buckeye or Santan Valley. So the other big piece or topic of conversation has been mortgage rates and how it's been impacted. And that really comes down to its relationship with the stock market. Now, the stock market and mortgage rates don't have a direct relationship with one another, but there often can be this ripple effect. And I'm going to explain this to you in pretty basic terminology, if you will. So think of the stock market as a roller coaster. There's ups and downs. It's very thrilling. A lot of people like to put their money on this ride. But whenever there's any sort of economic uncertainty, like we had last Friday, people get a little scared. So they want to take that money off the roller coaster, put it in something that's a little bit more secure and stable. They want to go on like the merry-go-round, something that's a little bit more predictable and not as volatile. And you can think of the merry-go-round as bonds. So then when everyone hops on this merry-go-round, bonds the price gets a little bit more expensive, it goes up, and then the yield goes down. Now, mortgage rates revolve very closely around the yield. So when we see that 10-year treasury yield go down, we often see mortgage rates also go down. And that's exactly what we saw happen on Friday. Everyone took their money out of the stock market, they put it into bonds, and then we saw mortgage rates drop. And the interesting thing is, a lot of people in the real estate industry got pretty excited, maybe prematurely, because what happened then come Monday, Tuesday, everyone was like, okay, maybe this ride isn't for me. I'm willing to put my money back on that roller coaster. Stock prices went up again, and then we saw that yield actually increase as well. And then subsequently, we saw mortgage rates resume back to where they were, which is about 6.8 as of today. Now, we can't predict what's going to happen with the stock market. I mean, if it stays where it's at, like we've seen the past 2-3 days, we're probably going to see mortgage rates stay about the same. But I will do my best to keep you up to date because we can't really predict. We don't have a crystal ball. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Have a fantastic day.